Cool. Okay, we're gonna start with icebreakers.
Oh, I saw your old videos. All the icebreakers questions are so hard.
I guess you're prepared. I guess you're ready for all of them. But
Depending on your question.
It's good to know each other, break the ice and people get to know you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, just name give me one word when you the first thing you come up with this. Underwater.
Diving.
Mangroves.
Ocean.
Dogs.
Family.
Cooking.
Hobby.
Cool. Great. Now we're gonna have like more answers. You can answer longer for the next questions.
Okay.
What's a drink that describes you?
A drink that describes me.
It can be a beverage, it can be a cocktail, or every day you think about life, you're drinking it.
Every day I think about life, I'm drinking it. Water. No, well, water is so boring, but it's healthy. I don't know, Nixie. That's a really hard question. What would you be?
Coffee.
Why?
Bitter and
You're saying you're bitter?
opinionated. Yeah. Cool. Water is essential, and a lot of people answer
so
water.
Boring. No, I'm not water. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. What's one thing if you can eliminate from the world? What's one thing that you will want to eliminate if you can from the world?
Oh, one thing that I would want to eliminate in the world. Anything. Could be anything. Sickness, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Sickness. Diseases.
Yeah. Yeah, the world would be better without it. I agree.
Yeah.
Especially with the current times and people come and go, it's makes life more valuable. Yeah.
No corona.
Definitely. Well, speaking of the current times, let's get back to the younger Sutra. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Jakarta. I'm come from Jakarta. I grew up in Jakarta, so I'm Jakartan.
And school-wise, where did you go for high school?
High school, I went to Tirta Marta, BPK Penabur in Pondok Indah. It's a private Christian school. I was there from playgroup until SMA, until SMA 2. And then I moved to the States for college. So I went to one school my whole life.
And I saw your grades; they're excellent. Not your actual grades, but you have like scholarships and honors. Were you always a high achiever?
I think when I was in elementary school, grade 3, 4, 5, I was pretty good. Like I was top 5 of the class probably almost every year. But in middle school and high school, I was not. And to be frank, I didn't really study anything in high school. Like we literally just played and hang out with friends. Really going to school is just hanging out with friends. Like, well, this is gonna be on YouTube, so I can't really disclose too much. But but yeah, it was more like fun. Huh?
You can if you want.
No, it's gonna ruin my reputation. Just kidding. But yeah, it was just fun. And then I think I got serious again when I moved to the US for college. I went to the community college, and there I literally didn't know anyone. I had no friends because it was a new town, new country. I was just living with my mom. So there's nothing more that I can do but study. So I started studying again, and yeah, my grades were good. And I think this the difference with the system in the US and in Indonesia, I don't know, I didn't go to college in Indonesia, but I think the difference is in the US, if you really study, you can get good grades. You don't have to be a genius to get good grades because they're fair. They don't try to trick you. Like, they don't give you trick questions. They literally just test you on the things that they teach you in class. So literally, if you go to class and you study and you do your assignments, you can do well. So yeah, so I think that's a big factor why my grades were okay.
Why is education important to you?
Honestly, it wasn't before. Before I went to university, I didn't understand why it is important. I just went because it's just it's like required for everyone to go to university. But it's required by my parents, basically, right? By our parents, we would have to go. But after graduating, after getting my bachelor's degree, I really see university is much more than just acquiring knowledge, but then you learn the soft skills of life as well. Like, you learn more than the knowledge and the theory you learn in uni. It's more that you learn the mindset of how to tackle the world and how to ask the right questions and how to be able to learn yourself for your whole life. So it's not like, I just remember when we were in middle school, we literally just have to read a book, answer copy from the book. Literally, we don't have to think about it. We just have to memorize or just follow all the teacher's instructions or whatever. It's just like we're like robots. But in uni, I feel like we were given the passion and the motivation to do it ourselves. So then after uni, we have the ability to be able to learn ourselves without the system, without the the institution and the people. So I think that's why it's important. And also networking, because then you learn your social skills as well. In uni, you literally meet the people that you will know for the rest. You'll be friends, or you will know for the rest of your lives in university. So I think it's really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of mindset is also being attracted to what you want to learn. And
Yeah.
when did you decide or find out that you wanted to become a marine biologist?
It's not a big grand story, actually. So basically, I was in community college and I was taking all my general electives, right? And then after 2 years, I had to transfer to a 4-year institution. So before that, I had to choose a major. And I asked my dad, what should I do? And I don't know what I like. I really like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to choose. And then initially I wanted to do communications because that's the only thing that, because everyone is doing it basically. And I'm like, oh, I'll just take communications. And then I talk about it with my dad. And then he's like, do you really like it? Communications, it's good, but it's not a specialized skills, he said. I remember that. And then he just, basically his advice was just pick whatever major that you like. And then, my family, we are all scuba divers, as you know. And then I started diving when I was 14. So when my dad said that, literally in my mind, it's just, I like the ocean. I like to play in the ocean. I like to go diving and stuff. So that's why I chose marine biology, not knowing what I'm gonna do after graduation, not knowing what kind of jobs that they would offer from a major like that. But yeah, so I basically just choose whatever subject that I like, so that I would enjoy my university years, in which I did very much.
Wow. And you mentioned diving, right? I mean, we can go hours on diving in the
Oh yes,
computer bit.
right. You too, right?
Experience. Yeah, I love diving. Sure. I didn't know that your whole family are into diving though. Did you have good memories of that?
My mom and my dad started diving in 91, the year which I was born. So I actually know this story. My mom left me for a diving trip when I was 2 months old. And back then, it's not a common thing, right? Because I guess it's a little bit different than now. Now you can always, like put your breast milk in the freezer or whatever. Yeah. I don't know how it is 20 years ago, but she did left me for a trip to Papua, actually. So they were very passionate in diving, and my dad taught me really, really early in our day, when we were really young. young. My brother too. So all of us, or the four of us, are diverse.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
lured into diving as well by my
Hmm.
ex-girlfriend actually.
Yeah.
In Bali, but I wouldn't know about it unless someone pulled me and checked it checked it and encouraged me to see the beauty of it. But
Yeah.
okay, I want to continue on your marine biology experience because you really like dive deep. You wrote reports. You worked in California Science Center and really applied your knowledge and produced something and some knowledge, for the community. How does your educational experience influence your career choices?
How does my educational experience influence my choices?
Career.
Oh, my career. Influence my career. Uh, well, can you repeat the question? I don't really get it.
I mean, you could have gone to like, I don't know, consulting, or you could have like dropped it and say, maybe I want to do business or maybe do masters, which you did, and or pursue academia. But why did you like continue? Like you saw animals, you studied DNA or something. What made you attracted to it professionally and perhaps earning something back from it?
Okay, so it might sound a little bit corny, but I did have a principle where I don't want to work just for the money. So I always want to work for something first that I believe in, like a cause that I believe in, and then second is for to work for something that can result change, can actually impact. It doesn't have to be a big impact, but it can actually have a positive impact on people or on the environment or on society or whatever. But yeah, those are my two principles that I hold dear until today. And it also makes for me a little bit tougher to find a job, basically. But that's the risk that I'm willing to take, because I'm a little bit more picky rather than just sending all my CVs to all the companies that's hiring. But I'm kind of like a little bit more picky in the companies that I would apply for. In which I still don't know whether that's a good idea or not. But for now, that's what I'm doing. But so that's how I've been choosing my career path. And so my first job was with the Nature Conservancy. I started as an intern, and there I was just gathering data, compiling conservation data that would be useful for conservation managers. And then after that, I was hired by TNC, the Nature Conservancy, as a program officer. So basically helping the program managers, implementing all the marine programs. And then after that, I was promoted to become a program, uh,
Officer.
program officer, basically developing and creating new programs for the marine department. But yeah, so a lot of the programs that we created was conservation programs, and my main program was sea turtle conservation program in East Nusa Tenggara. So that program, it was a small scale program, but it made a change, a social change, a behavioral change in Kupang and in Rote Ndao, which is the island that I was working in, to change kind of their mindset in where initially they were egg hunters. They collect the sea turtle eggs for food and to sell them and all those things, without knowing the environmental impact of it. And TNC came in, our program came in to kind of help change that mindset. And there's also actually already a law from the 90s or something that collecting sea turtle eggs are actually illegal, but there's no enforcement like a lot of laws in Indonesia. So that people were still stealing and collecting the eggs. So that's one of the program that we did. But yeah, so basically a lot of my career choices was based on the amount of change, or the type of change that I can get from whatever I'm doing. And a lot of it is also passion. Like I wouldn't want to work in a department or an environment or in a field that I don't like, that I don't enjoy, because then if you live your whole life working, then you will live your whole life doing something that you don't like. So that's the main principles that I hold on till today.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. What's one thing that people don't get about conservation?
I think mainly the benefits of it, because people would think conservation is more like a restriction, like, oh, you cannot eat this animal, oh, you cannot kill this animal, or you cannot eat this kind of plants, or you cannot, you know, uh, cut the trees, or cut the forest or whatever. A lot of people only know the what you're not supposed to do, like all the restrictions and all the rules, but I think what a lot of people are missing, and what a lot of conservationists fail to do, is to socialize the benefits of these conservation programs. And the benefits is basically for us as well, right? It's not for the animals, it's not for just the trees or the forest, but it's for humans and our future, our planet, right? So I think the benefits part. And also nowadays there's so many modelings, and there's so many there are basically so many formulas that you can use to evaluate conservation activities. So basically, if you you conserve a specific stretch of mangrove, say, then you can evaluate that conservation action in monetary value. So you actually get economic value from conserving those mangrove, because a lot of ecosystems have ecosystem services, which are benefits that these ecosystems give to us humans. Like mangroves, they protect coastlines from erosion, or they protect coastlines from waves erosion, from storms, they also filter our water system. They also function as our feeding grounds, not feeding grounds, sorry, nursery grounds for fishes. So if these mangroves are cut down, or turn into roads, or real estates or whatever, we will lose all those ecosystem benefits from mangroves.
Right. Um, when we increase our level of conservation, things get impacted, like you said. The economics get impacted. Um, how about tourism, just as an example of an economic activity that usually is related to conservation? Um, how is tourism affected when we increase the level of conservation? And what about the locals' activities, like the egg hunters? Do they have an alternative sustenance?
Yeah, so that's the key, alternatives. So what we as a conservationist, we don't we always try to bring the most benefits out of our programs, right? We don't tell these people, okay, you cannot collect sea turtles eggs anymore, and then that's it. No, we will give them alternatives. First, we'll give them understanding of why they're not supposed to collect these sea turtle eggs, but then we will give them alternatives of doing something more sustainable. Like in Rote Island, where I worked a few years ago, the people uh, that we stop that we what was I gonna say that we encourage to stop taking sea turtles eggs, we gave them alternative livelihoods by farming seaweeds, in which they can dry up and they can sell to people, and they actually have more money making seaweed farms than gathering sea turtle eggs, because sea turtle eggs is not all year round, and then it's hard for them to find, and because it's illegal, they have to sell it in an illegal market, and they have to be careful with the police and everything. So we give them an alternative livelihood. As well as tourism, I feel, well, as we all know, there's so many ecotourism nowadays. And so one of the things that we tried to do in Rotedao, but we haven't really done it because there was no funding, was instead of gaining money from collecting sea turtles and eating them or selling them, we would conserve the sea turtle beaches, the nesting beaches, and create an ecotourism where tourists can actually view these turtles laying eggs during the season. And we would train the local people of how to view sea turtles hatchings correctly, and appropriately so that we don't disturb the process. And yeah, and that would generate more money, right? Instead of just collecting eggs which are not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the numbers are going down, right?
Yeah.
I remember in high school we had a field trip to a turtle conservation area in Bali, and we released some turtles in the beach. And one of my friends threw the baby turtle,
Oh
and
no.
he of course got the end of the stick from the teachers. But it was, it was that was a funny experience, to be honest. But the turtles are going down. It's sad to see a species being wiped out.
Yeah.
What
And
other what other areas um, do you know that are facing maybe endangered species that we should be aware of?
you mean what other species?
Yes.
Well, a lot, especially a lot. Like I cannot list all the endangered species out there, but yeah, a lot. I mean, humans have. I mean, population growth. First of all, the population in the world has been increasing, and then the natural resources has been pressured to keep up with the population growth. So that's why a lot of species are endangered, because we're over harvesting them. So another example, good example, is sharks. Easy, sharks. We've been eating shark fins. So here's the thing, like I'm not the kind of person who would I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not the kind of person who would not eat the animals I work with, and except when it's unsustainable. So like sharks, some countries do eat sharks and it's okay. Some type of sharks are okay to harvest, to fish, and to kill and to eat. But the problem with shark fin is that these fishermen would catch the shark and cut the fin off and just throw the shark back into the ocean. So the amount of meat or shark or fins that they would get from, how I explain it. So basically, they would kill more sharks to get just the fins, right? If say a country or a state would have regulation, okay, you can fish sharks, but you have to use all of it. You have to use their meat, their bones, whatever. Then they wouldn't be able to fit in that many sharks in their boat, right? But if they only keep the shark fins in their boat, they can kill 100 sharks in a day. Their boats would still have rooms left. So that's the problem. That's the unsustainable part of it, because you are just harvesting the fin. You kill more sharks than you can consume, because you throw away the body back into the ocean. So that's why it's an unsustainable harvest, and that's why sharks numbers are declining all over the world.
Do you think policymakers know these costs of, degradation?
Yes, of course. Because the science is there, the research are out there. Because there's so many research already saying how much would it cost to kill. I don't know the numbers exactly, but this is just an example, okay? So say if you kill one shark, you will get $200 from that one shark if you sell the meat or in the fins in the market. Say that is $200, but then the shark will be dead, and then that's it, one-time use, right? If you conserve the shark and let the shark live and reproduce, you will get, say, $1,000 from that one shark from tourism. So those things are already well calculated, and presented to policymakers. And it's a strong argument why conservation should be done. But the problem with as conservationists, we are not policymakers, and we don't have the ability to make those decisions and make those policies. So all we can do is just recommend. So I think that's one of the drawbacks of working in this field. You see a lot of those in the field. But yeah, so I'm sure they know, because they have the information out there and it's easy to find.
Yeah. Wow, good point. Hey, let's get back to your education. For your master's, you took. Please tell me the degree that you got. It sounds so fancy.
No, it's not. It's resource use and environmental economics. So you're basically merging economics with environmental management. You're not merging. You're using economics for environmental management.
Okay. What can you give us an example of a case study that you studied and that we should know about?
Okay.
In a sense.
So basically, a lot of environmental issues are also economic issues. Okay. So say, why is that? Because, so for example, say you have pollution, right? Pollution is an environmental issue. Air pollution. Air pollution is an environmental issue where, say, in factories would produce stuff, they would produce their products, and then they would pollute the air while producing those products, right? Now, those products, say it's a glass. Say we're producing a glass. Say those glass, production cost of those glass is $1 for one glass, for example, right? So that's the private cost that companies would incur in producing that one glass, right? But they don't take into consideration the fact that when they produce that one glass for $1, they produce pollution in which also incur a cost to the society. Health costs, yeah, right? Health costs, mostly health costs, because if you have pollution, you get sick and then you have to go to doctor to get healthy. Or you can also be a maintenance cost. Say if there's more pollution, buildings degrade even faster or whatever. And there's also aesthetic costs. Say if there's pollution, you have an apartment like yourself in a 30th floor, and then you cannot see the view. Those are all costs. In economics, everything is a cost, right? There's cost and benefit. So this factory doesn't include that social cost in the production cost of the glass. So that's called an externality, right? So that's why an environmental issue like pollution is an economic issue, because the economics of the cost and benefit of this factory doesn't include the social cost. So that's where economics can be used to solve environmental problems. For example, like plastic bags. Plastic bags now it's an environmental problem around the world, right? Plastic waste in the ocean, in rivers, and whatever. That's also the same. So instead of air pollution, we say plastic pollution. So a lot of these factories create plastics without including the social cost of selling those plastics to consumers, because it's just not it's not the norm. So what government would do is incur a tax, right? So tax is an economic instrument that can be used to solve environmental problems. Say now for plastic bags, you have to pay 200 rupiah or whatever, right, in supermarkets. So they do use those financial those tax, to reduce the use of plastic bags. But then the key is to put the right amount of tax where it can actually discourage people from using plastic bags. But now, because it's 200, I feel it's too low, because nobody would care to spend 200 rupiah for a plastic bag. So yeah, that's what I learned in my major. So basically using economics to be to solve environmental problems. Same with climate change. Climate change is a classic environmental problems with carbon, with carbon trading and everything. So that's the field that I would want to work in right now.
Yeah, I think many people will benefit knowing the economic cost of their activities, because it's not just the cost that incurs to that particular product, but it's also to society, to the environment.
Yeah,
knowing all of them will definitely help. And ignorance is not bliss in the environment. You got to know what you're producing. It's going to affect the world. I was reading not watching a podcast actually about the animal industry, like cows, how they are treated in the supply chain, and how much water they consume to be able to
Yeah.
support the factories. It's insane,
Yeah.
and how much waste they create.
Yeah.
They take up a lot of environment, and I wish we could do more on that. But what what do you think about the alternative beef movement?
I've never actually tried any, but I've read about them, the Impossible Burger, and I think they're making beef out of petri dish right now. Like they make
What's a petri dish?
yeah, like a lab, the lab, the petri
Plant?
dish that we use in high school. Like, yeah, so basically they're growing beef in a lab. I forgot the name of the company who does that, but yeah, no, I've never actually tried them. But some of my friends said that Impossible Burger, uh, if it's like a no, but I'm not gonna review the taste of it. But you were asking about what I think about them.
Yeah. Have you tried it?
Uh,
No, right?
I haven't tried it. I think I don't have enough knowledge to comment on that. But basically, it has to do with how they make it too. Like, but I guess it must. So what I was thinking is that we have to compare the footprint the footprint of creating alternative beef and the carbon footprint of creating just normal beef.
Yeah.
But I'm sure alternative beef it's lower because you're not actually growing cows and farming cows.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's very interesting to try, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah. What about synthetic food to create a substitute for exotic foods?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about it. Yeah, again, I think I would compare. I would have to know how they make those synthetic foods. But what kind of synthetic foods are there?
I would eat synthetic shark fin soup.
Oh, like those things. Yeah. I've tried synthetic shark fins. I mean,
How does it taste?
I've tried it. So okay, so I'm a Chinese. I come from a Chinese family, so my family does eat shark fin soup. Not that often anymore, thank God, because I can't really tell my parents not my parents. My parents don't really eat shark fin, but my uncles and my grandmas and whatever. But they won't listen to me because I'm just a little kid for them. But whatever. But yeah, so we used to eat it when I was a kid. We eat it, and it was really good because of the soup. The broth of the shark fin, the brown broth. So that was really good. But I feel like if you isolate just the shark fin, it would taste like rubber, like plastic, like it's like clear, like no, like jello gitu kan, like all the
like jelly. Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah,
does.
tasteless.
It would taste like any other thing without the spices.
Yeah, and I tried the synthetic one. I couldn't tell the difference because the broth was really good. So
Yeah. Yep. They are. Hey, can you tell me about DNA extraction? What is that? You say this in your
it was my research for my bachelor's. That's not really my expertise, but basically it's just, so what my research was, I was helping a PhD student doing their research, so it wasn't my own research, but basically the genetic research in marine environment is basically to see that specific research that I'm doing is to see a speciation. So basically okay, I don't want to make it too complicated. How do I explain it? So I was studying nudibranchs. Do you know nudibranchs? The colorful.
Oh, they're cute.
Nudibranchs, yeah. So nudibranchs live on coral heads, right? They would live just on one coral because they're very small and they're very slow. They would just live on that coral and just live their whole life in that coral. They would move maybe a few meters the radius of the area, but not a lot, not far. So what the PhD student and I was helping did was basically we compare the same species of nudibranchs that lives in two different coral species. And then we would see...
Say it again, two different nudibranch, same species, different corals?
Yes, so the same species of nudibranchs that lives on different corals. Maybe one from coral in Bali and one in a coral in the Philippines, say. But the same species, right? And then we would do a lab experimentation using DNA extraction, is where you actually have to kill the nudibranchs. So, sorry to say. And yeah, you have to kill it. If it's fish, you can just do a fin clip, but because nudibranchs is so small, you have to kill the nudibranchs. But so you basically do a DNA extraction, to basically just diluting the DNA into like a liquid form, where you can replicate it through PCR process, in which what we're doing now with coronavirus with the PCR test, and then you can see the DNA sequence from it. So what they were doing is to see if the same species of nudibranchs live in different coral heads, would there be a divergence in their species, in their genetic sequence, that would lead to to the same species being two different species. You know what I mean? So that's how evolution. That's the theory of the. I'm like talking about a lot of jargon here, but you're
Okay.
you're you're familiar with the coral triangle, right?
Is it between Philippines and Thailand, or all the way to Indonesia? Is that it?
Yeah. So basically, it's just an area, like it's kind of a triangle that has the highest species diversity, marine species diversity compared to the world. So that's the coral triangle, and Indonesia is one of it. Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand. Oh, not Thailand. Indonesia, Philippines. That triangle area, basically. But so that's one of the reasons why scientists believe that one of the reasons why coral triangle is so high in diversity is because one of the mechanism is that's those speciation, because they're isolated in their own coral heads, and then the other nudibranch is isolated in their coral heads, and they're feeding on different things. They can eventually become two different species. You know what I mean?
Wow. So they're so much alike, but they're different. Maybe one likes to play soccer outside, and the other likes to play soccer inside, but they look the same.
Yeah. So that's basically it. So there's divergence in their genetic sequence. Maybe in their colors and the shape of their body is not different, but if we see the genetic sequence, there can be divergence in different nudibranchs in different populations. So that's what they were doing. Yeah, right. It was very, very micro scale research, in which I'm not a big fan of. That's why I didn't really pursue it.
Wow, cool. Well, nudibranch, I have to say personally, it's one of the most beautiful species in the world. Yeah. If you look at it closely, my
favorite species to
look at it, and I mean, maybe there are someone who don't know it yet, who don't know them yet. Nudibranch, when you look at up close, they look so different than they are when we look at it with our naked eye, especially if you use the macro lens.
Yep.
The colors just come out, the tentacles just wiggle around. They're amazing.
Yeah, and they're the best species to take picture because they just stay still there.
Right.
Their picture is so easy.
Yeah. Hey, this career and education, it takes a lot of you, physically and mentally, physically. How do you keep grounded with yourself and with all this happening in you? How do you keep grounded?
Well, first of all, the fact that I actually like the topics and the subjects I'm learning, I'm actually enjoying it. I don't force myself to study these things. I don't have to force myself to memorize these things. Like, I literally want to know about these things my whole life. Like it's those the fact that I'm passionate about it drives me even further. But of course, with university, there's always challenges with exams and all the assignments piling up, and the stress of being away from people, living on your own. All those stress in university, of course, are always there. And for me, it's an easy answer for me. Basically, I'm a Christian, so I didn't rely on my own strength, but I rely on God's strength. So throughout my university years, I can say that I enjoy every part of it, because it wasn't just me. I literally just surrendered to God. Like the fact that I got a scholarship for my master's was also a miracle. Like when I applied, I didn't imagine getting it at all, because I was just, I'll just apply and see. And if I don't get it, I'll just don't take my master's. But then I got it, and then it was such an amazing scholarship, and all those process from the application to submission to interview throughout my master degree is all like God's grace.
There's a lot of interviews, right, for a scholarship. There's interviews for the scholarship, interviews for maybe school. Is it the Robert V. Daly Memorial Scholarship?
Oh no. That's for my community college. The scholarship was the Austrian Awards Scholarship, AAIS.
Wow. Oh, great. Um, so how would you suggest people who will want to pursue their passion? Any recommendation for them?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Really, just do it. Like, just try, because the worst thing that could happen is just you don't get it. But if you don't try, you will never know, right? That's what I did. I literally just tried, and I got it. Then I go with it. And also don't be. I feel like I keep going back to surrender. Like, I don't want to be too ambitious, but I do want to have a goal. I want to have a purpose. I want to have a standard that I have for myself. But I don't want also to be too ambitious where if I don't get it, I will die literally, or be super disappointed, or just be, super depressed. But no, so I literally just surrender to God and see, okay, God, I want to do this. Help me, give me strength, and I will try my best, and I will let you to do the rest. And literally that's my mindset for the whole years of my education.
Okay, cool. Well, before we go, we want to look into what shall we do as a group to the world, like how to improve our lifestyle. I know you're doing a lot of plastic management at home, that's really cute.
I try to.
Well, is that something that's doable, or is it difficult to do?
It's so doable, man. It's so doable. Like,
separate the plastics from the non-plastics, and then where do we discard it to anyone, to any garbage man, or
so it's harder here in Indonesia because there's no recycling system going just yet. Like in Australia, all you have to do is just separate your garbage to 2 different containers, and the government would the state would just recycle it for you. But here there's none, so we have to actively look for organizations, or look for NGOs or whatever that actually collect your trash and would recycle them or reuse them. And that's what I did. I did it with KDM Green Project. Basically, they empower street children, street kids, street teenagers that has no jobs, no school or whatever, and they empower them to work for KDM Project by sorting through the trash that they collect and using them to make, say, wine bottles into glasses, or our leftovers, molto or sunlight, refill plastic into bags, and then sending the recycled used papers to recycle to factories that would recycle them, and all those things. So they work with other institutions. So KDM Green Project would work with other institutions as well. They would collect some paper, or would collect some PET bottles, or some collect glass bottles, those things. So just find a reputable a company or an organization that would collect your trash. And now it's actually convenient for me that one of the RT near my house is also separating their trash in their whole RT. Yeah, so a lot of people are separating their trash. So I can just give my trash to those RT, and they would give it to a company that would recycle them or reuse them. So yeah, it's so easy. You basically just separate your food waste, because food waste cannot be recycled. So you recycle your plastic trash, your paper trash, and your glass can, metal. So for me, plastic, glass, metal are all in one container. Paper is in one container, and food waste. Now, food waste is, if you have a lot of food waste, it's good for you to compost to make a compost bin so you can use them again as a compost fertilizer, right? Instead of throwing it out into the trash and it gets dumped into a landfill and it's not good. So that's what I did. I have a compost bin, but it's easy for me because there's only 2 people living in my house. It's only me and my husband, so we don't have a lot of food waste. So we just dump them into one compost bin, mix them around, and just leave it there.
Okay. Cool. Okay, last question. Where would you dive next?
Banda, man. Have you been?
No. Sharks?
You have?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Hammerheads. Schooling Hammerheads.
That would be sick, wouldn't
Banda.
it? But I heard it's deep, right? You have to go like 30 meters or something.
Yeah, and you have to do a liveaboard because it's in the middle of nowhere, right? Banda. But Hammerheads, yeah, schooling Hammerheads. And they said in Banda, the Hammerheads is pretty shallow. I saw schooling Hammerheads in Malaysia, I think a few years ago. We were at 40 meters, in which we weren't supposed to be, but they were there, so we had to go down because they were like literally below us. But in Banda, I heard it's pretty shallow. Like they could actually go through coral reefs where you can see them up close. So yes, we should go.
Would love to. How about outside of Indonesia? Any plans or any some of the destinations outside are pretty interesting to look at too.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But I think I want to exhaust all my lists in Indonesia first, and then I go. Might not be a good plan because people say Indonesia is the best. So if you've dived all over Indonesia and then you go, in another country, you'd be disappointed. But I don't know. I've only dived other than Indonesia. I only dived in Malaysia, California, which is interesting, but different ecosystem, but interesting, and Australia. That's it. And for now, Indonesia is still the best for me.
Yeah, that's what you said, right? The ecosystems. I mean, for one thing that I love about diving, seeing the animals. Like I love animals. Galapagos would be super cool.
Galapagos, totally. It's so expensive though, Nick. Do you know?
Well, it's like a long-term plan, but so far I'm just looking at the IG. What are the animals there?
Yeah. Also, oh man, I forgot the Tonga. You can actually not diving, but you can swim with whales.
I would love to do that.
Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, I saw videos people doing it. You can literally swim with the whales.
Yeah.
Side by side.
Yeah.
Tonga.
Yeah. Davao Tonga. Swim. That'll be sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything you want to mention and like your Instagram or some work you're doing? Anything to plug, as they say, to market? Anything you want to publish, market, social media or projects or something? It's your chance.
No, not really. But I would just encourage people to try to adopt more sustainable daily living, and it's so easy to do from your household. Basically, stop using single-use anything, not just plastics. Yeah, single-use anything is bad. So stop using single-use anything, and just try to reduce your waste as much as you can. And that's what I'm doing. And it also, and it's not just waste meaning garbage. Yeah, it's waste also with your things that you own, like clothes and everything, your furniture, your computer, your phone. If people change them so frequently, there's more and more waste that you produce, right? So I'm a supporter of secondhand things. So I would get secondhand things from anyone who would want to throw out their stuff, and if they're still good, I would use it. I don't care. But that's one of the ways that you can reduce waste, by reusing things that you can reuse. So in my house, like I have a lot of pots that comes from glass jars from your pasta sauce or whatever. And yeah, basically just reduce consumption to reduce waste.
Great. Awesome. And we like that, and we hope everyone will do that.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you very much.
Thanks,
We had a
Nick.
good podcast with you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yes, we should meet up soon. Catch up.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Nick.
Take care.
Okay, bye. You too.
Bye.